tragic details about Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash, a prominent figure in country music, undeniably left a significant mark on the genre. However, his personal choices ultimately tarnished his legacy. While he frequently expressed affection for his family, his actions led to the dissolution of one marriage due to excessive indulgence and infidelity. Cash's life was marked by a constant struggle between conflicting elements, resulting in both remarkable achievements and profound setbacks. This is the tragic and authentic narrative of Johnny Cash's life. Johnny Cash, originally named Jr., was the fourth of 7 children born on February 26, 1932, in Kingsland, Arkansas, to his parents Ray and Carrie Cash. His early life was marked by the hardships of the Great Depression. In his memoir, Johnny Cash, The Autobiography, he vividly recalled the challenging conditions of his early years. The house where he was born lacked windows, and during the harsh winter months, his resourceful mother would hang blankets or anything else she could find to keep the cold at bay. The economic difficulties of the era weighed heavily on the Cash family. However, when Jr. was just 3 years old, they made a pivotal move to the Dias colony in northeast Arkansas. This move was part of a federal farming program aimed at helping struggling families during the Depression. In Dias, the Cash family received 20 acres of land to farm, primarily cultivating cotton and various crops. Johnny's journey into the world of manual labor began at a young age. At the age of 5, he started working in the fields alongside his parents and siblings, contributing to the family's livelihood. Initially, he served as a water boy, carrying drinking water out to quench the thirst of his hard-working family members. As he grew older and stronger by the time he was 8, he transitioned to picking cotton. This demanding task involved dragging a heavy canvas sack that began empty, but by the end of a grueling day held an astonishing 200 pounds or more of cotton. Cash described the cotton-picking process as straightforward in his memoir. They would position the wagon at one end of the rows and systematically pick the cotton as they moved along. However, the work was anything but easy. It was physically exhausting and often painful. Young Johnny developed back pain even as a child, and the cotton bolls he handled were sharp, often causing cuts to his hands. Despite the hardships and challenges, the Cash family persevered, working tirelessly to make ends meet. His early years were deeply influenced by his brother, Jack Cash, who was 2 years older. One Saturday morning when Johnny was just 12 years old, he implored Jack to go fishing with him, but Jack declined, as he had to work at a dangerous job cutting oak trees into posts with a table saw, earning a meager $3 for a day's labor. Despite Jack's refusal, Johnny decided to go fishing alone that day. However, his time by the fishing hole felt empty and uninspiring, prompting him to leave early and head back home. On his way home, he encountered a horrific sight. His father met him on the road in a state of panic. There had been a dreadful accident at the job site, and Jack had been tragically pulled into the saw, resulting in a devastating injury that stretched from his ribs through his stomach to his groin. Jack fought for his life for nearly a week, but eventually succumbed to his injuries. The aftermath of Jack's death left an indelible mark on Johnny Cash. He was even involved in the heart-wrenching task of helping to dig his brother's grave and attended the funeral, his clothes still bearing the dirt and grime from that labor. Johnny later recalled, "After Jack's death, I felt like I'd died too. I had no other friend." The loss of his brother had a profound impact on Johnny and became a defining moment in his life. As Johnny Cash grew up, he constantly found himself considering what choices Jack would have made in various situations. He often asked himself, which is Jack's way? Which direction would he have taken? Jack's influence loomed large over Johnny's life, even in death. Jack appeared in Johnny's dreams, usually when Johnny was contemplating actions he shouldn't undertake. In these dreams, Jack seemed to discern Johnny's intentions and would gaze at him with a knowing and admonishing smile. Johnny reflected, "There's no fooling Jack." Jack's tragic death and enduring presence in Johnny Cash's life served as a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of making meaningful choices. These experiences would later shape Johnny Cash's music, infusing it with a raw, emotional intensity that resonated with audiences worldwide. Johnny Cash went on to become a legendary figure in the world of country music, renowned for his distinctive voice, poignant songwriting, and a career that spanned decades, ultimately earning him the title of the Man in Black. Johnny Cash's life was marked by not only his musical brilliance, but also his tumultuous struggles with addiction. In 1961, he and his wife, Vivian, along with their 4 daughters, made a significant move to Casitas Springs, California. This relocation was fueled by Vivian's hope that the change of scenery would encourage Johnny to break free from the dangerous grip of pills and alcohol that had become a distressing and integral part of his existence. However, contrary to their expectations, Johnny's problems deepened in California, particularly concerning his addiction to amphetamines. His daughter Roseanne would later reflect on this period, describing how her father's drug addiction consumed not only him, but also their parents' marriage. The constant tension and anxiety that enveloped their lives were palpable. The pills had a devastating impact on Johnny's voice, rendering it little more than a croak. His ability to perform, and even his reliability to show up for gigs, became increasingly compromised. Though Johnny eventually managed to quit taking amphetamines, his battle with addiction remained far from over. He was trapped in the clutches of addiction and alcoholism, unable to consume these substances in moderation. He needed not just one pill, but a handful, and a single drink could never suffice. He would empty the hotel room's minibar. The 1980s brought a new set of challenges as he was prescribed pain medication for various surgeries and illnesses. Regrettably, he continued to consume these drugs even after his medical need for them had passed. In his autobiography, Johnny Cash recounted an alarming incident when he was on morphine and Valium after a surgery, during which he hallucinated commandos setting up bombs in his hospital room. These experiences illustrated the depths of his struggles with substance abuse and their profound impact on his life. Throughout these tumultuous times, Johnny Cash found solace and support in his second wife, June Carter Cash. She became a steady and stabilizing force in his life, helping him cope with his addiction and navigate the turbulent waters of his personal demons. In late June 1965, he found himself in an unfortunate incident involving his camper, which he affectionately named Jesse. Alongside his nephew Damon Fielder, Johnny embarked on a camping and fishing trip to Los Padres National Forest. However, this excursion took a dangerous turn due to Cash's self-destructive behavior. As they made their way to the forest, Johnny Cash was behind the wheel of the camper, but he was far from sober. He spent the drive popping pills, consuming whiskey, and recklessly swerving on the road. Damon Fielder, growing increasingly irritated with his uncle's behavior, refused to fish in the same spot as Cash once they had parked and set up the camper. The exact cause of the ensuing catastrophe remains a subject of debate. Johnny Cash claimed that oil from a cracked bearing dripped onto a hot wheel, igniting the grass beneath his truck. Damon, however, suspected that Cash, in his inebriated state, had used a book of matches to start a fire for warmth. Regardless of the precise trigger, what followed was an uncontrollable blaze that quickly spread through the forest. The situation grew dire, necessitating a rescue helicopter to extract Cash and Fielder from the forest. The fire, which they had inadvertently ignited, would go on to consume more than 500 acres across 3 mountains. Even more tragically, it drove away 49 of the 53 endangered condors residing in a refuge on the land. In the aftermath of this disastrous event, the federal government took legal action against Johnny Cash. During depositions related to the case, Cash displayed a belligerent attitude. When asked if he had started the fire, he replied defiantly, "No, my truck did, and it's dead, so you can't question it." When questioned about the fleeing condors, Cash callously remarked, "I don't care about your yellow buzzards." As a consequence of his actions, Johnny Cash was fined a substantial sum of $125,000 for his role in the fire, a stark reminder of the personal and legal consequences of his tumultuous life. Although Johnny Cash sang convincingly about shooting a man in Reno just to watch him die in his famous song Folsom Prison Blues, It's worth noting that Johnny Cash himself had never been incarcerated in a prison. However, his life was punctuated by multiple arrests, often stemming from his struggles with drug-related offenses and episodes under the influence. One noteworthy incident occurred in October 1965 when Cash took a flight to El Paso, Texas, and then hired a cab to transport him across the Mexican border to Juarez. There, he purchased a significant quantity of illicit drugs, including 668 dexedrine and 475 Equinil tablets, which he discreetly concealed in his guitar. Unfortunately for him, the dealer he had dealt with was under surveillance for alleged heroin sales. Consequently, Cash was arrested at the airport and detained on drug smuggling charges. In addition to these charges, he also faced legal repercussions in El Paso for the possession of the pills. Earlier that same year, in May, Johnny Cash found himself in a drunk and disorderly state in Starkville, Mississippi. Police arrested him for being out well past curfew and placed him in a holding cell overnight to allow him to sober up. In a display of frustration, Cash kicked his foot against the cell door with such force that he ended up breaking one of his toes. In November 1967, Cash's struggles with substance abuse once again led to an alarming incident. Under the influence of pills, he embarked on a reckless joyride through a forest in a Cadillac Eldorado. The escapade escalated further when he began banging on the door of a rural home, prompting the residents to call the police. Johnny Cash's arrest on this occasion resulted in another night spent in jail. Johnny Cash recounted a gripping and harrowing tale from his life, one that reflected both the depths of his struggles with drug addiction and the resilience of his spirit. This event took place in the fall of 1967 when Cash was in the throes of drug-related despair. During this troubled period in his life, Cash found himself in a state of despair so profound that he felt he had lost the will to live. Seeking solace, he embarked on a journey to Nickajack Cave, located just north of Chattanooga, Tennessee. This cave, according to Cash, held a dark and eerie history, containing the remains of numerous amateur cave explorers who had lost their lives over the years, often due to getting lost within its labyrinthine passages. It was here, in the depths of Nickajack Cave, that Cash intended to end his life and join the unfortunate souls who had perished before him. Cash's journey into the cave was not one of a casual visitor, but a man driven by despair and desperation. He crawled through the dark and winding passages for several hours, guided only by the beam of his flashlight. However, his journey took a chilling turn when his flashlight batteries gave out, plunging him into pitch darkness deep within the cave. At this point, he lay down, fully prepared to meet his end, feeling utterly disconnected from God and any hope of redemption. Yet, as he lay there in the oppressive darkness, a profound epiphany washed over him. In that moment, he began to question whether it was truly his time to die. This spark of hope ignited a determination within him to fight for his life. Summoning his inner strength, Cash got up and, with sheer determination, navigated his way out of the cave in complete darkness. It was a miraculous escape, guided by a small draft of air that served as his lifeline. Emerging from the cave, he made a solemn promise to himself that he would quit drugs that very day. Cash's recounting of this life-altering experience became an integral part of his public persona. He shared this story in his memoirs, interviews, and publications that documented his tumultuous life. However, this tale has not been without controversy. His friend and former bass player, Marshall Grant, insisted that the cave incident never happened. Moreover, Robert Hilburn, Cash's biographer, pointed out that the Nickajack Cave was underwater in the fall of 1967, as it had been dammed up by the Army Corps of Engineers. Hilburn also noted that, contrary to the story, Cash did not quit drugs on that very day. Johnny Cash faced a series of profound health challenges and career transformations in the late stages of his life, demonstrating both his enduring resilience and artistic prowess. By the year 1997, Johnny Cash had entered a difficult chapter in his life. He was noticeably stumbling both on and off stage, his once commanding presence now appearing rigid and unsteady. Those who were close to him, including his daughter Cindy, recalled the nightly anxiety and prayer that accompanied his performances, as they hoped that he would simply make it through each song. In that same year, Cash received a diagnosis that would further complicate his already declining health: Parkinson's disease. However, the symptoms he exhibited suggested something different and more sinister. A mere week after the initial Parkinson's diagnosis, Johnny Cash's medical journey took another disheartening turn. The diagnosis was altered to multiple system atrophy, also known as Scheidegger syndrome, an exceptionally rare degenerative neurological disorder that affects involuntary functions, including muscle control and breathing. This devastating news was accompanied by an even grimmer prognosis. He was given just 18 months to live. As if grappling with the grim reality of Scheidegger syndrome was not enough, Cash's health continued to deteriorate rapidly. He contracted double pneumonia and blood poisoning, which ultimately led him into a deep coma that lasted for an agonizing 10 days. During his arduous recovery process, there was yet another twist in his medical saga. It was revealed that even the Scheidegger diagnosis had been incorrect. Instead, Johnny Cash was diagnosed with autonomic neuropathy, a condition linked to diabetes. Although his touring days were over due to the severe toll these health issues had taken on his body, Johnny Cash was determined to return to his music career. With a renewed sense of purpose and a bit of stamina regained, he resumed his work. While he couldn't physically endure long tours anymore, he could still perform the occasional show and, most importantly, continue to record music. It was during this period that Johnny Cash embarked on a creative collaboration that would earn him widespread acclaim in his later years. He teamed up with the renowned producer Rick Rubin for his American Recordings series of albums. These albums featured Cash's weathered and emotionally charged voice as he fearlessly tackled a diverse array of material, including songs like U2's One, Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down, and 9 Inch Nails' Hurt. In particular, his haunting rendition of Hurt left an indelible mark and earned him a Grammy Award. The life story of June Carter Cash, a celebrated musician and the beloved wife of Johnny Cash, took a poignant turn in April 2003 as she faced a daunting health challenge that would test her resilience and the strength of her bond with her husband. In April of that year, June Carter Cash received a disheartening medical diagnosis. She had been diagnosed with a leaky heart valve, a condition that posed a severe threat to her well-being. After undergoing an extensive battery of medical tests, it became clear that the only viable option to address her heart issue and prolong her life was to undergo valve replacement surgery. However, when faced with this daunting prospect, June initially hesitated. At the age of 73, she expressed reservations about going through with the surgery, feeling that she might be too old to endure such a significant medical procedure. Her husband, Johnny Cash, who was deeply devoted to her, implored her to proceed with the surgery. He simply wasn't ready to contemplate a life without her by his side. His heartfelt plea conveyed the depth of their love and the profound connection they shared. On May 7, 2003, June Carter Cash underwent the valve replacement surgery. Tragically, in the early hours following the procedure, she experienced a sudden cardiac arrest. Medical professionals worked tirelessly for an agonizing 20 minutes to resuscitate her. Once they succeeded, June was placed on life support, her condition hanging in a precarious balance. 3 days later, a critical moment arrived as doctors conducted tests to assess whether June responded to external stimuli, a crucial indicator of her brain function. The results of these tests were devastating. Steve Turner, in his biography of Johnny Cash, described the news as bad as it could be. The uncertainty lay in how long her brain had been deprived of oxygen during the cardiac episode and the subsequent resuscitation efforts. In an agonizing decision, Johnny Cash made the heartbreaking choice to grant permission for the removal of life support. The expectation was that June's bodily functions would gradually cease over the course of approximately 3 hours, allowing her to pass peacefully. However, June Carter Cash's indomitable spirit defied expectations. Instead of succumbing in the anticipated time frame, she continued to linger for 3 more days. Throughout this heart-wrenching ordeal, June's family stood vigil around her bedside, offering their unwavering support and love. On May 15, 2003, surrounded by those who cherished her most, June Carter Cash passed away, bringing an end to a life marked by extraordinary musical talent, a deep and enduring love story with Johnny Cash, and the unwavering strength she exhibited even in her final moments. Her legacy as a remarkable artist and a cherished companion lives on in the hearts of all who knew and admired her. Just 4 months after the passing of his beloved wife, June Carter Cash, Johnny Cash would also bid farewell to the world. June's death had left a profound void in his life, as the couple had shared 35 years of marriage, spending very little time apart. Despite his grief, Johnny Cash found solace and purpose in his work, recognizing the benefits of keeping busy. Remarkably, mere days after June's funeral, he returned to the recording studio alongside producer Rick Rubin, adding to the impressive collection of songs they had stockpiled for the American Recordings series. However, Johnny Cash's health continued to deteriorate during this period. His final months were marred by a series of medical setbacks. He was hospitalized with pancreatitis, which added to the physical toll that years of health struggles had taken on his body. 2 weeks after his release from the hospital, Johnny Cash's journey came to an end. On September 12, 2003, at the age of 71, he succumbed to respiratory failure resulting from complications associated with diabetes. Johnny Cash's legacy in the world of music is nothing short of monumental. He left an indelible mark as a singer, songwriter, song interpreter, and a transformative force in country music. His influence in the realm of music was vast, and his larger-than-life presence made him a true legend in his lifetime. Yet this immense stature came at a personal cost. Johnny Cash grappled with his own demons and faced numerous challenges throughout his life, which in turn affected those who cared for him and those whom he cherished. Nevertheless, when Johnny Cash spoke, millions listened. When he sang, millions sang along. And when he passed away, millions mourned the loss of a truly iconic figure. The boy who had grown up in humble beginnings on a cotton farm had undeniably left an enduring impact on the world, forever etching his name in the annals of music history. What do you think about Johnny Cash's tragic life? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.